In the near future, the world comes to an apocalyptic end because of pandemics, climate change, lack of water, and the collapse of power grids. Australia is a huge wasteland except for a small community known as the Green Place of Many Mothers. Furiosa is picking peaches with a friend when suddenly they hear a noise. Ignoring her friend's objections, Furiosa goes to investigate and discovers a bunch of motorcycle marauders. She cuts the gas pipe from one of their bikes, but when she's about to do the other one, she's found by a biker called Toe Jam. Furiosa immediately stabs his legs and runs away, blowing a whistle to warn the villagers. Unfortunately, the bikers catch up to her and kidnap her by using a whip. Soon Furiosa's mother Mary and a bunch of warriors begin following the bikers on their horses. They shoot down a biker and Mary ends him with her blade before stealing his bike. Before Mary leaves to rescue Furiosa, the village leader gives her plenty of ammo and reminds her nobody who knows the location of their home must live. Soon Mary kills another biker from afar with a shot, and the other two men stop to analyze the situation. While they're distracted, Furiosa bites another gas pipe to break it as well. When they see Mary coming, the bikers ride away again and Mary uses the chance to fix the fallen bike with the one she stole so she has gas for longer. The chase continues and in the middle of the night, a bike finally runs out of gas. The men start fighting over what to do, so Furiosa uses the chance to cut the ropes on her wrists and run away. Sadly, the biker drives toward her and captures her back. In the morning, Mary notices they've made it to the bikers' camp and manages to shoot down another rider, leaving only Toe Jam with Furiosa. He tells his friends that he's found a place of abundance and when he tries to take Furiosa to their leader, she jumps off and tosses Toe's own weapon into the wheel to make him crash. Afterward, Furiosa and a severely wounded Toe Jam are taken to see the leader, a warlord called Dementus. Toe Jam dies while trying to answer Dementus' questions and Furiosa tries kicking him, so the others have to pull her back. Since she refuses to tell them where her home is, Dementus decides to keep her and treat her well, hoping to earn her trust through manipulation. Outside the camp, Mary takes the armor from the fallen biker while escaping from an incoming sandstorm. Then she infiltrates the camp and starts killing people until she finds Furiosa's tent. She kills another guy but takes pity on the woman cleaning Furiosa, who claims to be also a victim and a mother. However, when Mary and Furiosa leave, the woman immediately raises the alarm. A guard shoots at Mary and lights her back on fire, so she has to stop to get rid of her clothes. They get away on the bike as fast as possible, but Mary can hear Dementus and his gang coming. She tells Furiosa to go home without her and gives her a peach seed to plant later. Then Mary brings down a rider with a shot, however she's soon surrounded and overpowered. Hearing the commotion, Furiosa comes back and discovers the gang hanging Mary on a crucifix-like structure. They hurt her as they ask her where she's from but she refuses to betray her people. Dementus forces Furiosa to watch how his men end up killing Mary while tasting her tears. Sometime later, Furiosa is kept in a cage and Dementus forces her to watch what his people consider entertainment. They viciously fight each other to decide who joins the ritual, then the chosen riders get on bikes that pull chains to dismember a man. Dementus gives Furiosa a teddy bear that used to belong to his daughters, but she throws it away without a word. The next day while they ride away, the history man tells Furiosa he can teach her to write and read so she can become valuable for Dementus, but Furiosa ignores him. It seems she's decided to be permanent silent. One night, Furiosa finds some ink among the bags in the cage and tattoos a star map on her arm so she will never forget the way home. Some days later, Dementus' gang is exploring the wasteland when they see an explosion of red smoke. They ride to the spot and find a war boy, a type of soldier that fights for Immortan Joe from the Citadel. Dementus wants to know about the place of abundance and the war boy assumes they're talking about the Citadel, so he takes them there. Once they arrive to the Citadel, all the slaves run to hide in fear. Dementus demands to see the leader, promising to hurt them if they don't cooperate but offering freedom and wealth if they do. At that moment the leader Immortan Joe shows up and his assistant asks Dementus to choose a war boy to continue negotiations. A boy is chosen and he paints his teeth before he jumps off a bridge, sliding down some wires before falling and dying in an explosion. Joe's assistant explains all the war boys are ready to die for Joe and after the leaders retreat, the boys attack Dementus' gang. Many men are killed and a bunch of bikes are stolen with hanging chains. Furiosa's cage is taken too and the slaves open it to kidnap her and the history man. Dementus runs to rescue them, taking them away from their grasp just in time. Now Dementus' gang has no choice but to retreat. Sometime later, Dementus and his group make it to Gastown, the second fortress of the wasteland. They wait for one of the convoys to leave the town and surround it on the road, quickly killing all the men guarding them. Then a few bikers disguise themselves as war boys and drive the convoy back to Gastown while Dementus and the remaining men follow them, pretending they're under attack. At first the gatekeepers refuse to open, thinking something is off. Dementus decides to start killing his own disguised men to make it look real, so the gates are open to save the convoy. The bikers aren't allowed in but there are more gang members hiding in the truck, so they come out and quickly surround the gatekeepers, forcing them to open the gates. Soon Dementus gets inside with his warriors and takes over the town. Moments later, the Finger of Gastown leader is sent to Immortan Joe, who agrees to organize a meeting. Dementis appears with the town's leader, hurting him with a device connected to his nipples. The leader pleads to his brother Joe for mercy, however Joe's sons attack and Dementis kills the guy in retaliation, losing his nipples in the process. Then he explains he's planted bombs all over Gastown and he's the only one who knows the combination to activate or disable them, so he'll blow the town up unless he's officially named the Gastown leader. However Joe's attention falls on Furiosa, so Dementis says she's her daughter. Furiosa denies this and explains Dementis killed her mom. In the end, Immortan Joe agrees to let Dementis have Gastown in exchange for Furiosa and a biker. Dementis doesn't like it but agrees, taking back his bear before leaving. Afterward Joe announces Furiosa will be another one of his wives and she's taken to live with his harem. The other women are nice but Furiosa has to watch how Joe forces them to be with him. One day one of the women gives birth to a baby girl and Joe declares the wife a disappointment because he only wants sons. During this, Joe's son keeps touching Furiosa's hair, creeping her out. Later in private, Furiosa reveals she still has her mother's peach seed. She also starts cutting her hair and makes a wig with a net and candle wax so the others don't notice. Eventually Joe's son takes Furiosa to his room and intends on taking advantage of her, but when he grabs her by the hair, Furiosa just runs away leaving the wig behind. While Furiosa jumps and hides under the bridge, the guy comes looking for her, only to be seen by his brother. Wanting to avoid trouble with Joe, he tosses the wig away and leaves without finding the girl. Sometime later, Furiosa disguises herself as a boy and stays silent so she's accepted as another worker. She's very good at climbing and jumping, so soon she gains a place among the mechanics that handle the chains to pick up old vehicles. 15 years pass and Furiosa isn't discovered thanks to her pretending to be mute and playing along to the loyalty rituals for Joe. One day the mechanics are asked to build a new powerful war rig and they give it a huge drill known as the Bomby Knocker. This rig will be driven by Praetorian Jack, who has had the most success on the road so far. After lots of hard work, Jack takes the rig on its first trip, only to suddenly be surrounded by a bunch of former members of Dementis gang who have gone rogue and formed his own group. They use parachutes connected to the bikes to attack the rig from above. The war boys start getting killed one by one and some of them even fall off the rig on purpose to protect it. Jack just keeps on driving, running over bikers and war boys alike. Furiosa is on a bike as part of the convoy and ends up under the rig, which saves her from another enemy bomb. The mechanic is killed so she grabs his tool to work on fixing the damage. As the enemy keeps attacking the rig, they leave some dynamite under it, but Furiosa kicks the biker away and disables the explosive. Soon the bikers start climbing the rig, however Furiosa finishes fixing the issue and Jack can drive faster, shaking a few enemies off and letting the war boys kill the others. Unfortunately there are too many bikers and the war boys are killed one by one, not to mention all the sacrifices they make in Joe's name to reach Valhalla. As a truck explodes and hits the front of the rig, the movement makes Furiosa loses her hat. She comes out from under the rig and Jack finally sees the truth. Suddenly the bikers come closer so Furiosa and Jack start shooting at them to get them off their vehicle. Then Furiosa uses a mechanical arm to kill a biker on a kite, and when another one approaches on a flying bike, she shoots an arrow to his leg. Next she tells the last war boy to activate the drill and hides behind the hatch as the last flying enemy is killed when the drill sucks him in. Before dying he shoots one last bullet that kills the remaining war boy. Afterward Furiosa threatens Jack with a gun, asking him to stop the rig. Jack pushes her off and drives away, only to return minutes later on foot. He says he's lost everything and offers to start over with her, explaining she's a good warrior so he doesn't care about her gender. When Jack promises to teach her everything about surviving on the road, Furiosa agrees to team up with him. From then on, Furiosa becomes Jack's right hand and they travel together while doing Joe's runs. One day, they stop at Gastown for fuel and discover the place is going down because Dementis is an awful leader and there are almost no supplies left. Dementis sees Furiosa but doesn't recognize her because she's older. He wants a meeting among warlords and Jack agrees to give Joe the message, but before they can leave, the civilians start rioting. Jack's group immediately gets away with Furiosa at the wheel while Jack shoots anyone that gets too close. They manage to cross the gate before things escalate, but Furiosa's shoulder has been stabbed. Jack immediately takes care of it with gentleness. When they return to the Citadel, they pass on Dementis' message. Joe's assistant and sons argue over what to do and Joe orders Jack to bring all the weapons they can find from Bullet Farm. Later in private, Jack stitches Furiosa's wound and asks about her tattoo while explaining how his parents died. He wants to help her find the place of abundance and Furiosa shows him the seed, asking him to come with her. The next day they leave for Bullet Farm and Jack makes Furiosa drive one of the guard trucks instead of the rig. When they arrive, they discover that Dementis and his men got there first. Jack makes a sign before the enemy attacks and Furiosa immediately drives back through the gate, but the other truck is crushed and the rig is stuck inside. Jack starts shooting people while Furiosa kills the gatekeeper and helps her friend by shooting through the gate. After seeing Furiosa, Jack gets back on the rig and hits the gate, so Furiosa runs to the truck to wait for him. Instead of joining her, Jack shoots a green smoke bomb to call for reinforcements and drives forward to keep on crushing enemies as he activates the drill. Disappointed, Furiosa tries driving away, but she feels bad and goes back, sneaking into the farm as a sniper. Dementis dodges her shots and Furiosa kills a bunch of other guys, but her last bullet manages to graze Dementis' skin. Then Jack begins hitting all the structures with the rig and Dementis is left hanging on the edge of a bridge. A tower falls on top of the rig and it gets stuck on a hole, so Jack starts climbing out of it before it falls. Furiosa gets on a bike and rescues him just in time with a hook. The duo immediately escapes and plans to follow Furiosa's map. Meanwhile, Dementis is rescued by an excavator and orders his men to go after Jack and Furiosa, bringing down the gate with a monster truck to get out. Soon they catch up and a gunfight ensues. Dementis drives his truck right next to Furiosa's car and her tattooed arm is crushed between the vehicles. Then the monster truck hits the car with its huge wheels and makes it crash. Then the duo is captured. Jack is tied to the back of a bike that drags him around, slowly torturing him to death. Furiosa is hung from the back of the truck by her wounded arm and forced to watch Jack die. For the next few hours, Dementis sits on his truck to rest and watch the bikers drive in a circle, which creates a big dust cloud. When he's finally bored, he checks on Furiosa and discovers she's escaped by leaving her arm behind and using the dust cloud as cover. When he tries chasing after her, he discovers she tied the truck's chain to a wheel, which breaks off when he starts the engine. Eventually the bike Furiosa stole runs out of gas and she has to walk under the scorching sun, so she passes out. Thankfully a Citadel guard finds her and takes her back. A healer applies maggots to her wounds to prevent infection and as soon as she wakes up, she leaves the sick bay and demands to see Joe. In Jack's memory, she uses the name Praetorian Furiosa and tells Joe that Dementis is coming with lots of firearms. Smoke can be seen in the distance and Furiosa explains Dementis is burning Gastown on purpose so Joe will go there and leave the Citadel exposed. Joe decides they'll pretend to go to Gastown to trick Dementis and Furiosa asks him to let her have his head. Minutes later, Dementis sees a bunch of trucks going to Gastown and happily announces that they're going to the Citadel. Then Joe's assistant sends a signal to make the trucks come back. For the next 40 days, a war ensues on the road during which Dementis and Joe's men keep killing each other in all kinds of vicious ways. Meanwhile Furiosa builds a mechanical arm to replace her loss and shaves her head. Then she asks the mechanics for a vehicle. There's only one car left in the Citadel and it's missing a wheel, but she takes it anyway. She finds the spot where Joe's sons are fixing their cars to continue the war and steals a one while the history man names her the fifth rider of the apocalypse. Some days later, Dementis is riding with his few remaining men and suddenly notices two were shot down. He sees a car coming so he tells his crew to split to try to ambush it. Furiosa starts driving fast and hits bikes with her car to bring them down, then she goes after the main vehicle. However, it's an old guy wearing Dementis' cape as bait. She grabs the cape and pushes the guy anyway, killing him in a pit of quicksand. Afterward she watches the bikers to try to find Dementis and notices a guy with long hair, but when he falls she sees it was another disguise. All the other bikers run to help him to keep up with the plan and Furiosa guesses the only biker driving away is Dementis. Moments later, Dementis wakes up under the fabric he's using to hide and discovers his water bottle has been slashed. When he comes out, Furiosa is waiting for him and Dementis tries to shoot her, but he's out of bullets. He tries running away, however when he sees the car following him, he falls to his knees and surrenders. Furiosa comes out wearing his cape and asks if he remembers her, but Dementis only sees her as Jack's partner and steals her knife. It turns out to be just a broken handle and his distraction allows Furiosa to knock him out. When Dementis wakes up, he's been chained up. Furiosa tells him about all the death and pain she caused to her and her mother 15 years ago, but Dementis doesn't get it and thinks she's just another random victim of his. Then Furiosa starts beating him up, yet Dementis keeps on monologuing. Suddenly he has a seizure and falls to the sand. Furiosa activates her arm and cuts the chains to take the bear, causing Dementis to finally realizes who she is. He offers her to team up and be great warlords together, however Furiosa drops the bear and finally gets her revenge. Some people say she shoots him on the head, others that she drags him at the back of her car and drops him on a tree like he did to her mother. Actually Furiosa brings him into the Citadel and secretly uses him to plant Mary's seed, which grows into a peach tree by using Dementis as nutrients. Once they have fruit, she helps Joe's wives escape in a truck, which triggers the previous movie Fury Road. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.